Well, hey everyone, it's Markus and welcome to more Zooming in the Jungle Room. I am really lucky today because I am speaking to the one, the only Brendan B. Brown. He is, of course, the front man from Wheatus. Brendan, how are you today?
Good, Marcus. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Holy moly, so much to unpack. First of all, you've been to Australia twice this year. You're practically
I
living
know.
here. Um,
I know. Dream come true.
and look, all I hear is like long plane trips.
It's true. It's a fact. You
Um,
really have to prepare. You have to meditate and prepare for the trip, And you also have to have a day off on either end so you can really just readjust.
I can imagine. Do you, so I mean, obviously you've been traveling the world for many years now. Do you still get like that really bad jet lag, or are you kind of in sync with it all now?
Indeed, I do, and I have an approach to it that not all my bandmates agree on, but I say sleep as soon as your body tells you to, and don't think about what time it is.
Uh,
Um, and the way I deal with that is typically, you land in Australia in the morning after taking off at God knows when, and you feel like about a day and a half has gone by, but you don't know which part of that was the nighttime and blah blah blah. So if the urge to sleep strikes you as soon as you land, get in that bed, fall asleep, blow everything off, and then if you wake up and night is falling, get a little tiny little snack, not a full meal, just a tiny little snack, hydrate, and get your ass back in bed because you're probably going to fall asleep again, and then the next morning you'll be on time. You'll be in the right spot. That's how I handle it. I try very hard to keep people from scheduling anything or interrupting the day that I land because it's critical that you do that on day one. Otherwise, you're kind of like all over the place and you don't really know what's going on. So yeah, that's my method.
there you go, everyone. There's some hot tips for you from Brendan. I can't go wrong. I mean, it's foolproof. Now, you are coming back to Australia again in 2025, this time with something different. It is called the Dirtbags Across Australia Tour, and we are ready for it. Tickets are already on sale. Are you excited to get back again?
Very much so. The last time I did it with Art from Everclear, it was a bit of an eye opener, and that actually was the prequel to us touring the States in that manner. And when I say us, I mean myself and Gabrielle Sterbenz. She's in the band, she's in Wheatus, but she's also got her own solo career where she plays and sings. She's a songwriter, a better one than I, if I could say so. I think so. But anyway, she does her set, and then I do mine. She joins me for mine, and basically we started doing that in with Art in Everclear in was it February of 2024. Yes, this very same year. Wow, lots happened. And then we finished that up, did a whole bunch of touring in the States, in the American West, in the snowstorms of the Rocky Mountains and all over the place. And then we came back to Australia to do the full electric tour with Blondie, and that was the Pandemonium tour with Alice Cooper and Wolfmother and Blondie and Psych Furs were on it too. It was a really cool tour. And oh, the Psychos. What was that band called? Wait, I almost forgot their name. Cosmic Psychos. Cosmic Psychos. They were amazing. They were like this Australian punk band. It was so kick ass. And just like fronted by like this, like you would think these guys were like bricklayers or something, like old school punk guys. Like it was really cool. But in terms of the acoustic touring, when I did it with Art, I realized that there's like a storyteller element to it, and that we got into people wanting to have this sort of like dialogue, like people want to ask questions and talk about the songs, no matter how big the audience is, no matter how many people are there, they just want to know, and so I kind of leaned into that, like the sort of look under the hood kind of vibe, and wound up refining that quite a bit on the American leg of that tour. And then we wound up just having a great time in the States, me and Gabrielle, and she got into it and she adapted to that vibe as well. We weren't quite used to that being an electric band, but now we have it. So it's like this thing that we continue to unpack and get really kind of, I'm in the middle of the song. I'm still playing the guitar part kind of, and somebody's asking me a question and I'm explaining, well, this lyric came because of this thing. It wasn't intentional this way, but then it kind of felt like this. So we moved it over here and blah, 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 blah. And all the sort of song construction in real time how stuff was made or why it was made or why we did things and made decisions over the years. So it was kind of like a really cool convo. Um, I enjoyed it so much, and we as soon as the promoter from the or some of the guys we worked with on the Art Alexakis Everclear acoustic tour in Australia reached out and said, let's do that again. And, after a whole, basically half a year of us doing it in the States. So it's going to come back to you a bit more seasoned this time around. I'm happy to say.
Because of
Oh,
course,
and it's all request. It's all request. I should say.
yeah, mad. We of course know what the biggest request is going to be naturally, right?
Yeah.
Formed in 1995. In 2000, your debut album came out, which absolutely catapulted you guys, stratospherically. Of course, it had the banging hit on it, Teenage Dirtbag, and your career has never been the same again. But excitedly, in 2023, the song actually re-entered the charts. I mean, that's crazy, almost 25 years later. How did that feel?
Yeah. Well, at first we thought we were being punked, which is always the case when when One Direction covers it or Quincy Jones TikToks about it, like he did. Rest in peace. He did that a few years ago, and we were kind of like, who? Wait, what? What? Really? Like, Lady Gaga, Madonna. These people somehow are eventually discover the song in some capacity, and they're a little bit late to the party in some cases, but because people already have it in their hearts in ways that have given us, as you said, this career. And the cool part about Australia is it was the first place that it ever happened, right? Back in your summer of 2000.
Yeah.
Just leading up to Christmas, you gave us a #1 with the track there. Yeah. And we were able to fly down and tour Australia. It was our first overseas trip, and we never had a reception like that again. It was so special. It was, it's like arriving in a country where you're #1. And that's one of those things that, like, when I was, 10 years old, 9 years old, watching Angus Young on TV, I thought, like, oh man, if I can ever do any version of this, I'll be okay,
Yeah.
And Australia brought it to our lives, brought it to reality. So we are forever grateful for that. Yeah.
And Brendan, I mean, all these years later, these couple of decades later, you've had 5 albums now, of course, and you played with some incredible artists, like you say, whether it be Blondie, whether it be Alice Cooper, had your work associated with Madonna, Gaga, like you say. Have you ever met somebody, and you guys are big, but have you ever actually met someone and got starstruck by them?
Oh, I had the opportunity to meet Angus and Malcolm in 2002.
Yep.
My favorite band of all time, AC/DC. As I said, it was kind of looking up to him from a very early age. And in 2002, they were briefly on the same label that we were on.
Yeah.
And I got a backstage passes to a show that they played at a club. They played Roseland Ballroom, which I think the capacity was like 2,500 people or something like that. Very small for them. And they were definitely the loudest thing that ever happened in that place. But I had the chance to meet them afterwards, and I was in the meet and greet room with a few other people, and I saw the door to the room swing open, and Cliff came out, and then when the door swung back shut, it went a little further, and I could see Angus and Malcolm in the hallway there, and I went, nope, and I left. I walked out. I couldn't handle it, basically because I felt like I didn't want to meet them under those circumstances, and I also wanted to remain. I didn't want to become an adult yet. I didn't want to grow up yet. I wanted to keep them where they were when I was 10. You know what I mean? In that like holy place that's so hard to reach and fuels your imagination. So I just didn't want to shatter it. I'm sure they're lovely people. All reports indicate that, but I didn't want to burst the bubble.
I totally get it. Hey, let's go back to when you were younger, and you touched on one band already, obviously, but let's go back to when you were younger. Who were you listening to that really inspired you to travel down this music path of yours?
Well, my mother showed me how to play My Girl by the Temptations when I was 8. And from that point, I was kind of taught myself guitar, and we had a bit of Huey Lewis, a bit of
yeah.
Bob Marley, Bob Marley, Willie Nelson, Cyndi Lauper, Prince, lots and lots of Prince. Basically, what you would get in early '80s radio, you know, and also a lot of Fleetwood Mac from the '70s. When I was 3 or 4 years old, I knew how to spool up my mother's reel-to-reel. She had Rumors on reel-to-reel, and I could spool that up and play it myself. And I knew how to find secondhand news with the rewind and the play. So with these big levers. So it's been a sort of a like a discovery journey for me since then, learning about new music and then learning how to play it on my own, teaching myself how to play it or teaching myself how to interpret it. And there were so many more influences all through the years, but those were the big early ones, you know. Also, Sha Na Na was a big early influence from Greece, and a handful of others, the Four Seasons, and of course I said the Temptations. But a lot of Motown stuff was on the radio, on the stereo when I was a kid. Bob Marley, as I said, and of course Willie Nelson was a really big piece of it. My parents were really into him, and he was always on the box. So it was like that was the general sauce of it all.
You've said some great names there. I'm going to give you a couple back that will probably excite you tremendously. But Bob Marley's original Wailers are actually playing at the Gov in Adelaide, which is where you're going to be playing next Wednesday. So I'm going to be checking out the Wailers.
Oh, man.
I'm excited.
That is so cool.
On the stage that you guys are going to be playing. And of course, Cyndi Lauper, I'm a massive Cyndi fan from the 80s. And of course, she's traveling the world at the moment doing her farewell tour. Hopefully it's not
I know.
to her. Hopefully she still does something for us. But yeah, an icon.
Yeah, Cindy's got nothing to prove to anybody. You know, she can do what she wants.
Exactly. Hey, is there a collaboration with a contemporary artist that you'd love to record with?
Well, that's funny. I love finding new artists. And I got so lucky recently. We played at the Download Festival in the UK, and there was an artist on the same stage as us, an artist called BLK ERA, and spelled ALT BLK ERA. And they were sort of like had a great debut set at Download, and were these two kids from the London area who were just killing it with this sort of Nine Inch Nails like metal stuff. And we connected on Twitter like the very next day, and I wound up collabing with them to do a feature, and then they got me to rewrite some of the lyrics for the song that they had, a song called My Drummer's Girlfriend, which I thought was brilliant. And if I could say what they're like, they're sort of like a female feminist version of Death Grips mixed with Alice in Chains and Nine Inch Nails type production, right? So like really interesting take on 90s production aesthetic from these two kids, and they're just so way ahead of their time and their age, and I got really lucky to record with them. And the song is called My Drummer's Girlfriend, and there's a feature that I did, and also a sort of a rewritten version of the song with a twist on each of them, lyric twists. So it's I was very lucky that they wanted to work with me, and that we were able to do it quickly in our downtime. So yeah, that was fun. Check that out. That just dropped a couple days ago.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. I will give that a listen. Hey, the Wheatus, the original Wheatus album obviously just got re-released recently, but with 20 tracks on it, which is just brilliant. But is there a brand new Wheatus album in the works at all?
There is, and there are 3 songs from it currently on streaming. We did a few experimental singles to try and grease the skids on that record.
Yeah.
First one was a song called Tipsy. The second one's, I should say the first one was Lullaby. The second one was Tipsy. And the third was a song called Michelle, which is on a live record that we have out for streaming. But Tipsy was inspired by Liam Payne.
Oh, yeah.
conversation I had. Yeah, I had a conversation with Liam at a hotel party in New York, um, and he struck me as like this really thoughtful kid, and he seemed a little bit worried or something, and I said, you know, and it was a party, so it was like there was festive atmosphere. I said, "What's going on, man? What are you thinking about?" And he goes, "Honestly, I can't stop thinking about the people who will never get to see us, will never get to enjoy this because they don't have the money for tickets, or they live too far away from a place that we're playing."
Wow.
And I thought, wow, what a rather conscientious thing for a kid who's at the top of the game to be thinking about, you know. I can't imagine he couldn't have been any older than 22 or 21 years old, and he's got this thought in his head. And I said, well, tell me about that, man. Like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I just, you know, the way this game is played, I feel like a certain group of people for whom the music might be the most important, they're never going to get to see it, you know. And it was really clearly bothering him, and he was very aware of the class and economic strata of who was at the shows, you know. And he inspired this song called Tipsy that I wrote like the very next day. I actually offered it up to him for a collab, but I don't think we were able to pull that together at the time.
Yeah.
So we just kind of turned it into a Wheatus song, and it was fully and completely inspired by him being striking me, at least in that first and only meeting, as a very gentle and very empathetic kid who had real deep, big thoughts on his mind at an early age, you know. So wishing his family peace at this time, but he inspired me. Just a 20-minute convo with him inspired me quite a bit.
And so that song's out available to listen to.
Correct. Yeah. Tipsy.
I'm going to give that one a blast.
Yeah.
Hey, so talk about the tour. Of course, Dirtbags across Australia. 14 dates across Australia, which is great. Of course, coming to Adelaide, like I said, on the 15th of January, which is not far away. It's only 2 months away, playing at the Gulf. What can we expect from this tour? You've touched on a little bit, but what can we expect generally?
Well, you can expect me to take the stage and warm it up with just a bit of something that's just impromptu, right? Something off the top of my head, a song I haven't played for a long time, and then throw it to the crowd and just say, what do you want to hear? And then play whatever they say, no matter what, you know. When it gets into covers, you know, it gets a little bit tricky. Some songs I know, some songs I don't. I might be able to figure something out on the spot and have some fun with it. But any song from the Wheatus catalog or anything that we've ever covered in the past is fair game. That's about 80 some odd songs on streaming that you can call from. Yeah. And the idea is that behind that is that the audience gets the show that they want that night, right? Yeah. We have tried the whole thing many years ago. We tried and gave up on the idea of having a set list and touring it and having that be what you play every night. And we realized that there's something quite arrogant about all that, because you're presuming a whole bunch of stuff about the audience. First of all, is it a Friday night or a Sunday night? Is everybody tired, or are they up for a party? You know, like, you have to respond to that energy wherever you are, whenever it's happening, and not the other way around. This sort of like totalitarian idea that you show up with your show and your set list and you know, deliver it, and whether they like it or not, you know. I never enjoyed that, and we gave up on it a long time ago. So we have been an all request band for a very long time, since I think we started doing request sets in 2009, 2008, sometime around there.
Yep.
It can be a challenge. You can get into the thing where it's like, okay, this band now has 80 titles, right? 80 songs on streaming platforms. If somebody's heard one of those more obscure ones, you're going to have to do it, and it's going to be one that you maybe didn't rehearse too well, you know? But that's the thing. It'll make you better. It'll make you force you to address that and get into the catalog and figure out why you did all this stuff. Hopefully none of it was filler, right? So you should be able to do this. It should be like still a passion inside you for this kind of, for what you wrote and what you did. The courage of your convictions, if you will. So have it, throw it out to the audience and have them tell you what kind of show they want, and that's been much more fun.
If they threw you a curveball, what would you be more inclined to forget? The chords of that song or the lyrics of that song?
The only thing I really often have trouble with are the verse lyrics. Sometimes I sing the wrong verse first. Sometimes I get them mixed up, especially if it's one I haven't done for a minute. But
Yep.
Gabrielle and I, we're going to be rehearsing through the entire month of December once a day. We're going to do a rehearsal once a day, and we're going to pick random, just really try and focus on doing everything we possibly can, all of the music.
You could actually
so
make
that
that
we're-
really. You can make that really interactive on social media as well. Get your fans to like shout out comments to you.
That's right. If we do a live,
Yeah.
we can get a little flavor for how it's going to be and get
Totally.
the agenda down. Like figure out what people are going to be wanting. The only problem is to do a live for TikTok in Australia, we'd have to be up all night now, wouldn't we?
I know, right? I know. Hey, I'm going to ask you one more question, Brendan, because I'm actually really enjoying chatting with you. You're a really top guy. With your illustrious career that you've had since, essentially 1995, when the band formed, what would be one of your most memorable or proudest moments?
Ooh, well, there are very memorable moments, and then there are most proud moments. I think to date, one of the things I look on the most fondly, there are two moments. One very far in the past and one very recent. Our record release party was us opening for Joey Ramone and Ronnie Spector at CBGB's.
Yeah, wow.
That was one of those pinch me moments. And it was Joey's idea. He wanted us on the bill because he had heard of Teenage Dirtbag and he had heard about us as a New York band. And he kind of remembered when I jogged his memory, but years before he found out about us, I had kind of stalked him around a Radio Shack. You know what a Radio Shack is? We used to have a store. Used to be a chain store in New York and the rest of the United States called Radio Shack, where they sold blank cassette tapes and all kinds of stereo equipment and stuff. And I saw him in Union Square one time. He ducked out of his mom's car and into the Radio Shack to buy batteries. And I saw him and I went, I'm going in. And I approached him there, kind of like a bit of a dork, and said, "Thank you, Joey, for all the music." And when we played together years after that, I said, "Joey, do you remember that little doofus who came to chase you into the Radio Shack in Union Square 5 years ago?" That was me. And so we had a moment there that was really cool. And then most recently, back in 2023 or 2020, it's 2022, and then in 2024, we were direct support to Paramore at a festival. And we were direct support to Jimmy Eat World at a festival. And those are two acts that I feel like if promoters are so comfortable putting us in front of those two bands, I feel like we kind of accomplished something that is meaningful to me, because those are the two bands that I still listen to and still admire, for how hard they've worked to make good music over the years and stay where they are. So it was like, we never know what we're going to get in this band. Sometimes we play a tiny little club in front of 90 people, and we're happy to do that. That's means a lot to me, and the purpose there is really profound. And some of those shows can be the best that there ever are. And then oddly, we get invited to do Pandemonium, and Alice Cooper is inviting me on stage. So it's kind of like what who are we? I don't know. It's really wonderful, and I'm here for all of it, and feel very lucky. So those are the two moments I'd say.
I love it. What a life. What a life. Brendan B. Brown, I cannot wait to catch up with you when you get to Adelaide, with, of course, the lovely Gabrielle. You have the most amazing What's Left of the Weekend, and I'll catch up with you in January 2025, my friends.
Thank you so much, Markus. I appreciate you having me on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care.